Welcome to episode 3 of this series, and we're going to be looking at February 1996. This is the magazine, which is issue 3 of the official UK PlayStation magazine that we're going to be using as a guide to look at these reviews. So we're going to be looking at 13 different games this episode. Here's a sneak peek of what's to come. So first up we've got Total NBA 96, and here's a quick look at the box art for that one. Quite nice actually, for a sports title. This is a basketball game developed by Sony in-house, and as such the magazine very much likes this one, with it being an official magazine of course. And yeah, they mostly praise the graphics. It's a 4-page spread on this review. Sorry, it's a 3-page spread. And yeah, they very much like it. Like I said, mostly about the graphics, the sound effects, things like that. They also say that you can play 8-player with this one using 2 multi-taps. But yeah, it's a very high praise review indeed. To summarise, they give it 9 out of 10 and said, a lovingly crafted basketball sim and a joy to play. It's the slickest sports game for the machine, and as such recommended almost without hesitation. As you probably remember from the last time I did a basketball game, I'm not too fussed for the sport. I'm not a big fan. I didn't enjoy playing this one very much. I did feel like it was a little bit easier to get to grips with than the previous NBA game. What was it? NBA Jam. And it controlled a lot better than NBA Jam as well, although NBA Jam at least had a lot more fun to it with the fancy dunks and whatnot. This is still a decent basketball game if you like basketball. I don't like basketball, and as such I didn't enjoy playing this one, so I struggle to give it more than a 4, maybe a 5 at a push. But again, your mileage may vary. Next up we have Krazy Ivan. So here's the rather nice double box art. Pretty basic image, but pretty cool nonetheless. This one is a childhood favourite of mine actually. I rather enjoyed playing this back in the day, and I still have some of the quotes from it stuck in my head. So yeah, I was keen to revisit this, and yeah, I wasn't disappointed actually. First of all, the review. So they praise the game for its excellent FMV sequences, which I've got to agree with. They are fantastic, and yeah, good quality graphics and decent presentation overall. Again, it's a 3-page spread. What they didn't like is the length of the game. They said it's a bit too easy, and yeah, it's over and done with in a few hours basically. They gave it a 7 out of 10 overall and said, a slick and rattling good shoot 'em up. No, it ain't original. Yes, the FMV bits are damned great. You might finish it with ease, but you'll play it again. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I didn't know, you know, when you visit a childhood game that you've not played in a very long time, you think, oh, actually, is it all just nostalgia? And I'm sure there is some nostalgia involved in this as well, but I loved the FMV sequences. They are still funny now. So yeah, I enjoyed revisiting that, and probably one of the highlights of the game, really, just looking forward to getting the next FMV sequence. The actual game itself involves you fighting on 5 different levels, and you have to go around the level and find a giant robot which you then shoot down. In between these boss battles, I suppose, you can shoot down smaller craft to get power-ups. And there's a few power-ups that are negative as well, like reversing your controls, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, still good fun overall. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I would happily play it again. I put a few hours into it. I didn't beat it because clearly I'm not very good at video games, but yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good game, and I look forward to playing it again. The next game here is Criticom, which is this one here, with some rather garish characters. This one is a one-on-one fighter, 3D fighter if you will, and yeah, it's different. Let's just say that. First of all, the review, they liked it, but I feel they were overly positive about this game. They liked the graphics. They said the graphics were on par with Tekken and even Toshinden. In fact, they said it was better than both of those games. I have to say that it's close, but definitely not better in my eyes. And they praised the leveling system, which is the unique part of this beat 'em up. First of all, there's 8 interesting characters to use, which is good. I like the characters were, yeah, different, and there's good variety to them. They also liked the FMV introductions and the overall presentation of the game in that regard. And they liked the leveling system, which yeah, this is a unique part of this game. You level up your character by beating the game, and then you unlock more moves by doing that. And I think there's 3 different levels per character. And yeah, overall they give it a 7 out of 10 and said a challenging combat game that only reveals its depths with time. Not really recommended for beat 'em up beginners or those with sausages for fingers. I must be in the latter camp because I found this game quite challenging and really cluunky to control. I didn't like the way the characters did the moves. I thought it was dreadful, in fact. Even in this review they said in order to beat the game they had to lure the character to the edge of the ring and knock them out. In my eyes that doesn't make for a good beat 'em up game. In fact, that makes for a really bad beat 'em up game. And yeah, I found all the characters really frustrating to use. Like I said, they're interesting designs, but they just didn't control well at all. The game manual only tells you the level 1 moves, which is fine because I never made it to level 2. So yeah, it was a awful experience in my opinion. I would give this game, I'll give it a generous 3 out of 10. Tempted to go lower because I really didn't enjoy it, but I think if you are better at fighting games then maybe you would enjoy the leveling system, and there is some good depth to the game because of that. But yeah, really not one for me. I did not enjoy this. Next game please. Next we have Actua Soccer, which is this one here. Classic Actua series box art there. And yeah, this is another football game, another old football game. You probably know how I'm going to feel about this one already, but let's read what the magazine thinks first of all. They rate it as a very high quality game indeed. They say the graphics are fantastic, but the gameplay also keeps up with the graphics. They said the multiple camera angles is very good, and the players control very well. Overall they give it a 9 out of 10 and said, bar a few minor niggles, this is a perfect blend of top-rate graphics and slick gameplay. Technically excellent and deliciously playable. Actua Soccer delivers the lot. Old football games, like I've said previously, I just don't get on with. I do enjoy modern football games, but I find the controls on these so clunky, and the player movement and all of that, compared to the modern games, are just barely playable for me. This one is one of the better ones. I'd say it's on par with Goalstorm, but that probably already gives you an indication that I still didn't enjoy this, and I still wouldn't recommend playing an old football game like this. It's nice to see where a series began. Actua Soccer did go on to make several games, and also use their engine for several other games, but I would only give this a 4 out of 10 just because I don't think it controls very well and I didn't enjoy playing it. So yeah, on to the next game. The next game up for review is D. Pretty cool box art there. And D is an adventure game. It's all done via FMV. And yeah, first of all, the magazine said they did not like this game. They were basically saying interactive adventure games kind of are an oxymoron, because you're not really interacting, you're just kind of watching the game. They said it's 20% interaction, 80% watching a movie. Which, yeah, it is the nature of this type of game, I suppose. The game itself controls a lot like Myst, in that you've got certain nodes which you can walk to, and then you can have a look around on that node and then move to the next node. And it works in that way. The atmosphere of the game I found to be rather good, and they also said that the graphics and the sound also give you a really nice atmosphere. But overall, they found it far too slow and very cumbersome. They said that it doesn't have much replayability, because once you've finished it, you've seen all there is to see. And they give it a 4 out of 10 and said, a stunning, moody, captivating tale of evil doing. But even on 3 CDs, it's way too short and way too easy. We would dearly like to rate it higher, but 4 out of 10. This is an odd one. I started this game and I really thought this is pretty cool. I think I got about 2 hours into this in total, but yeah, it's an interesting game if you don't mind a very slow-paced game. Obviously, it's very dated graphics now, but still, yeah, quite interesting. Some of the puzzles are okay, but I wouldn't say they're very deep. One of the later elements of the game, you go into a tower and you have to rotate the tower, and by God is that part of the game painful. You rotate the tower, you turn around, see if the door's opened yet. It hasn't. Okay, rotate again, turn around, see if the door's open. It's open. But there's about 4 or 5 different openings, and you have to rotate the tower many times in order to get through all the openings. And you have to collect something from one opening and then go to another opening, and oh God, it's just awful. It is dreadful, and it really slowed down the pace of the game and really took away my enjoyment of the game. All of this, and the game has a timer. It has a built-in timer, so if you don't complete the game within a certain amount of time, it's game over and you have to start the whole thing again. Really annoying, and I hit that timer myself, and was I going to start this again? Absolutely not. After spending the best part of 2 hours, maybe even more than that, I can't remember now, but it was far too long. Having to do the whole game again, and obviously it being exactly the same game, led to me not wanting to do that. I still think it's an interesting experience, so I did give it a slightly higher mark than the magazine. I give it a 5 out of 10. But yeah, maybe one to watch on a long play video rather than actually play yourself, though. Anyway, next game. Next we have Thunderhawk 2, or as the box says, Firestorm Thunderhawk 2. Another big box again there. This one is another helicopter sim type game, or flight sim where you shoot things on the ground. Seemed to be a lot of these in the early days of the PlayStation. This one is a 4-page review. No, it's not. It's a 3-page review with an advert after it. And yeah, they really enjoyed this game. They said it's a good action game. It's essentially Jungle Strike, but in 3D, which seems fair. They enjoyed the amount of variety in the levels. So there's 8 different levels, and the amount of action that the game provides. They give it an 8 out of 10 overall and said, more than an arcade game and not quite a flight sim. This game dumps ultra realism for fast and addictive gameplay and an adrenaline rush, pure and simple. My thoughts on this one, as with most of the games like this, I just didn't enjoy it very much. I found the missions a little bit repetitive, I found the action a little bit uninspired, and the graphics were frankly awful. But yeah, they they liked it and I didn't. I think that's But as much as I can say on this one, you can decide for yourself if you think this sort of game is for you. By the gameplay you can see on the screen at the moment. I think I must just like flight combat games where you shoot things that are in the sky, not things that are on the ground. I don't know. There must be some reason I love Ace Combat, or the Ace Combat series, but I don't actually like these helicopter games that are mostly against ground targets. And this is not the last one we'll see, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd give this one maybe a 4 out of 10. Yeah, move on to the next. Next game we're looking at is Road Rash, and here is the game. Quite difficult to find the original box of this one. But yeah, this is it's Road Rash. You probably already know what this one is. It's a bike racing game, motorbike racing, where you can kick your opponents and punch them. And yeah, this one saw a lot of success on the 3DO in 1994, and this 1996 release is pretty much the same thing. The magazine goes to say that it's a slick presentation with interesting FMV sequences, and overall compares it to ESPN Extreme Games, which we reviewed a couple issues ago. And they basically say that the ESPN game has slightly nicer environments, but overall the Road Rash game is the better game and more enjoyable to play. The ESPN has 2-player, whereas Road Rash is only single-player, which is a bit of a disappointment. So this sort of game would be good in multiplayer and a lot of fun in multiplayer. Overall, they gave it a 6 out of 10 and said, a formulaic racer immediately presented for the next generation. You will enjoy the thrills and indeed the spills, but it becomes rather dull sooner rather than later. Yeah, I thought this was fun actually. Compared to some of the games I've been playing in this issue, this one is not too bad. And it's I preferred it over ESPN by quite a bit. In single player, of course, is how I'm playing all of these games. The FMV sequences are okay. They're a little bit attitude of the era, and all very garish in their colours. But the gameplay itself, the gameplay loop, I should say, is okay. It's not too bad. It seems to have some more of a purpose than ESPN as you go through the levels and progress through everything. And it does get harder as you get further into it, so it does have a decent challenge to it. So it was a good game, but it's nothing amazing. I also agree with the 6 out of 10 on this one. I think that's pretty much what it deserves, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's not too bad. Next game up for review is Mickey's Wild Adventure, which has one of the nicer boxes I've seen actually. Really, really nice box, that one. This one is a 2D platformer, which has come directly from the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, where it's called Mickey Mania. Exact same game, just with slightly better colour depth, according to the review here. They basically said that yes, it's a 16-bit game, and they think it's okay, but doesn't perhaps belong on the PlayStation. However, or doesn't get any improvements from being on the PlayStation, I should say. However, overall, they gave it a 7 out of 10 and said, an endearing platform game which, though predictable and derivative, still provides some great family entertainment, a welcome addition to the PlayStation. So they don't mind it being on here, they just thought it needed a few graphical improvements to warrant it being on a 32-bit console. This one is a charming game. It's very pretty graphically. You get to play as Mickey going through various cartoons, so starting off with Steamboat Willie and going through future cartoons, and yeah, the idea is nice, but I found it incredibly frustrating to play. I will preface this by saying that I'm not really into 2D platformers or platformers in general, but God, I did find this annoying. The background elements blend into the foreground elements, knowing what to jump on and what you can't jump on, knowing what's going to hurt you and what's not going to hurt you. It's all just guesswork. Nothing is obvious on this one, and I found it really frustrating. If I was marking this as just me playing the game, I'd probably give it a 2 out of 10, but I'm going to knock it up one extra mark to 3 out of 10 because I know that it's not my favourite genre. But god damn, I did really not enjoy playing this one, and I will not play this one again, which is a shame actually. Just to again give this some context, I actually do like the Mega Drive Mickey Mouse games, and even the Master System ones. I found them quite fun for a platform game, but I just found this one really annoying and frustrating to play, unfortunately. So yeah, not for me. But if you like what you're seeing in the gameplay footage here, then maybe it's for you. The next game we're going to be looking at is Defcon 5, another big box game. And this one is a strategy game, but done in first person. So it's a bit different, is this one. First of all, let's have a look at what the magazine has to say. They praised the game and said it's a new way of doing a strategy game. It's a thinking man's game, as they put it. And it's got quite a lot of longevity to it as well. However, they did say that you are kind of left to your own devices. If you like action games, you definitely won't like this game. And they also said that the game doesn't give you much help. You kind of have to figure it out as you go along, which is definitely true. Overall, they gave it an 8 out of 10 and said gameplay counts for a lot, and this combines tasty strategy and spicy action in pleasing measures. Sprinkle with a soup con of story and a garnish with real-time tension. Yeah, I feel like I'm being a bit of a negative Nelly in this this issue, but I also didn't get on with this game, unfortunately. I thought the premise was interesting. So effectively, you're in control of this ship's systems, and you have to defend it against incoming enemy attack, essentially. So you go onto the computer system called a VOS, and you set up turrets and set up droids, and you have to find all these in amongst this kind of big maze of a spaceship, I suppose. But it's just so frustrating. The game doesn't tell you what any of this stuff is, or tell you what any of it does. So you kind of have to get into the manual and follow the manual's tutorial. It doesn't tell you everything in the tutorial either. It kind of gives you a guide as to where to go. But the game itself, everything looks the same. All the levels look the same. I just found it frustrating to navigate. And then the gameplay itself, I didn't find particularly rewarding either. You type numbers into a computer and it starts shooting at things, and then the aliens get onto your vessel, and then you have to shoot the aliens, and I just didn't enjoy this game. And again, I don't want to come off as being negative. I tried to be positive about these reviews, but I just didn't enjoy this. For me, it was a 4 out of 10 game, and yeah, they give it 8 out of 10, so it must appeal to some people, and if you're one of those people, please do let me know. Thank you. Next game, please. The next game we're looking at is Shockwave Assault. Again, another lovely piece of box, and nice big box again. This one is a space shooter, another 3DO port, as a lot of these early PlayStation games were. And yeah, the magazine basically says that it is a 3DO port, but it combines the 3DO's original game and also the add-on game to get extra levels. Quite amusingly, in this magazine, they obviously not proofread this one, because they've said that it takes place over XX missions in XX in total. So yeah, forgot to actually fill the X's in, fill in the blanks. But yeah, lots of different levels, lots of different missions. Very basic gameplay though, and yeah, the magazine goes on to say that the levels are all quite repetitive. There's no real upgrades to be gained, so you can't get homing missiles or other interesting weaponry, and it's all a little bit rinse and repeat. They go on to say it's a 5 out of 10. This game's a decent shooter and easy to get into, but there's very little variety, and the challenges, while difficult, are far from complex. It's all just a bit too basic. And yeah, this is well, to be honest, the magazine hits the nail right on the head there. it is a very basic game. It would be a pretty cool game if you could get upgrades, or if the enemy's variety was a little bit more interesting, if the level variety was a little bit more interesting, but it all is a little bit samey, a little bit rinse and repeat. The FMV sequences are at least entertaining, and that's about all it's really got going for it, unfortunately. I also agree with the 5 out of 10. It is just kind of a vanilla shooter game and very repetitive, which is a shame. It could have been so much more. Anyway, next game. Next game is Hi-Octane, which is this quite attractive box there by Bullfrog. This one is a sci-fi racer, kart racer style game, which very much reminds you of Wipeout, and of course this review is pretty much comparing it to Wipeout throughout the entire review. They say basically it's not quite as good as Wipeout. It's got some nice ideas, and it does have split screen, which Wipeout doesn't. You do need to use a serial cable and 2 PlayStations, 2 TVs, 2 copies of the game, etc. to play Wipeout in multiplayer. Whereas this one you can just play it on split screen, which is nice. But overall, Wipeout controls better, better graphics, less fogginess, and runs a lot smoother as well. And has better variety of weapons too. So yeah, they give it a 6 out of 10 and said, if Wipeout hadn't completely cornered the racing market, Hi-Octane might have led the field. Unfortunately, Bullfrog's offering just isn't up to speed. What are my thoughts? Yeah, again, this article gets it pretty much spot on. It feels like Wipeout, but it's not Wipeout. Some of the tracks are quite interesting though. I'll give it that. The variety is probably a little bit better than Wipeout in that area. It does have a fuel mechanic as well, which is more frustrating than good. For example, I ran out of fuel, and then the game will pick you up and refill you very briefly and then drop you back off. But if you run out of fuel just in the entrance to the pit lane, then the game will take you out of the pit lane and put you on the main straight with not enough fuel to make it around the track. So it's very frustrating when that happens. But yeah, overall it was an okay game. I think it was similar to Wipeout, but not quite as good, but closer than I thought it would be. So yeah, rumour has it as well that this game was actually a game that Peter Molyneux threw together because he wanted some extra funding, and he just basically used the Magic Carpet engine and put this game together in a few weeks. If that's true, then it's quite impressive, quite an impressive feat for just a few weeks' work. But yeah, overall, I give this one a 5, maybe a 6. It's around that sort of level, kind of middling. It's a fairly cheap game, so you know, if you see it and you fancy that sort of game, then yeah, pick it up, give it a go. The penultimate game in this magazine is Lone Soldier. That is the box art for that one. And yeah, this is a game that's I do remember, but it's kind of a hidden game. Definitely wouldn't call it hidden gem, but it's not a game that many people talk about. First of all, the review. So they said that this game controls really badly. I have to agree. So essentially, this is a game where you are a character running into the screen and shooting enemies. And the up, down, left, right controls your character in 90 degrees, up, down, left, and right. So you can't really use that to aim. So you have to use the shoulder buttons to aim, which do give some back shoulder buttons aim left and right quickly, and then the front shoulder buttons aim left and right slowly. And that's it really. You walk forward in a level, aim, shoot the bad guy, walk forward, aim, shoot the bad guy, rinse, and repeat. The level variety is decent in my opinion. I thought that it was okay. The variety of enemies was actually surprisingly decent the further into the game you got. They said that it is quite repetitive, and yeah, I suppose it is. I didn't mind it as much as I thought I would when I first picked it up and thought, oh my god, these controls are dreadful. But yeah, let's read their conclusion first. They give it a 6 out of 10 and said, great looking, addictive and destructive with distinctive viewpoints, but let down by dodgy controls and little exploitation of the enormous 3D potential. By that they mean that you can't like explore the level anywhere. You're always looking the same direction basically, so it's kind of you're stuck on the same path, kind of like how Crash Bandicoot does it later on. For the 3D platform genre, you know, you look forward and you walk forward and the camera just follows you in that direction. So yeah, my opinion on this one, I was surprised after the initial shock at the controls and how bad they felt. I was surprised that the game, I carried on playing it. I played it for quite a few levels until I eventually died. It was okay. Again, it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't a good game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was okay. If I'd have got this as a kid, hopefully not spent £45 on it, hopefully got it as a present, I'd have played it quite a lot. The graphics aren't great, the enemy variety is good and the level variety is decent. The sound effects are really good as well, actually. But yeah, it's an okay game. I think between a 5 and a 6, something along that sort of level out of 10 is what I give this one. And yeah, I mean, again, look at the gameplay footage. If you think this looks interesting, give it a go. It's relatively cheap, although not very common game, so a bit more difficult to procure. So we get to the final game of this issue, which is Agile Warrior, which is this one here, or Agile Warrior F111X. According to the box, and this is another flight sim, or an attempt at a flight sim. This one is yeah, the magazine basically says the graphics aren't very good and the gameplay is far too hard. Again, comparing it to the Jungle Strike series, where you get given a series of missions and you go around and execute them, picking up pickups as you go along, blowing things up to find out what pickups are inside them, essentially. They gave it a 6 out of 10 and said, structurally, the game is put together pretty well, but the high difficulty level makes it frustrating and the graphics don't push the PlayStation one jot. 6 out of 10. I wouldn't even go that high on this one. I thought it could have been half decent because you do get a bit more movement with it being a flight sim with jets and whatnot rather than helicopters. But again, all the targets are on the ground. The ones in the air are just there to annoy you, and they do a very good job of that, or to blow up to get top-ups on your armor or your missiles or your fuel. It could have been good, but much like the magazine mentions, it is very difficult. You think you've completed your mission and then you realize there's another 200 missions to to find and destroy on the level. A very strange decision to put so many objectives onto the level, but yeah, that's what they decided to do. Yeah, it's frustrating. I give it a 4 out of 10 because it could have potential if you've got the patience and the skill to be able to complete the levels, but I just find it really, really repetitive again. I feel like I'm using this word a lot, repetitive, somewhat ironically, is that, yeah, a lot of these games, these early PlayStation games are very repetitive and they don't kind of stand out amongst one another, except for the really good ones. But yeah, I expected that when I took on this challenge, and I do want to find some hidden gems. I'm hoping to find some amongst these games eventually, but this one is not it. And that's it for another issue, so we'll leave you with the back of this magazine, which is a cool skeleton from Chronicles of the Sword, which presumably is an upcoming game. Not one I'm very familiar with, actually, so interesting to see that one when we eventually get round to it. Yeah, not a very good issue, this one, unfortunately. So February 1996 maybe is one to miss. Yeah, I didn't enjoy very many games at all. In fact, I'm only going to give one highlight, which was Krazy Ivan, which was actually a good game, brilliant FMV sequences, and quite fun gameplay overall, and the only game I think in this issue that I will revisit. In fact, yeah, definitely the only game I'm going to revisit. Hopefully the next issue will be a bit more positive, because I don't like being so negative throughout an entire issue like this, but I have to say it as I see it, and yeah, not a great selection of games, unfortunately. I'd love to hear your opinions on any of these games. Are any of these games ones that you got landed with at Christmas, or bought for a full price? Hopefully not. But yeah, let me know if that's the case. Please like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more like this. I'll be going on to issue 4 next, which will be March, of course. And fingers crossed for some better games this time around. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.